The 8-bit version of Sonic 2 was clearly a different game to its 16-bit counterpart on the Mega Drive. Levels were different, the physics was simplified, and the design was closer in many ways to the original game rather than the sequel. There's also a lot of weird stuff in the game. Firstly, this is one of the few Sonic games that doesn't start in the Green Hill Zone style level. Usually, the first stage in a Sonic game is some sort of sunny area with lots of grass, trees, and water. In this game, you are immediately thrust into the underground zone, full of lava pits, high-speed minecart rides, and, frankly, some pretty stress-inducing music. This minecart is also one of the weird transport gimmicks that's in the game. In the second stage, Sonic flies a hang glider. These sorts of gimmicks were widely promoted in all of the promotional materials for the game, including the box art itself. Speaking of the box art, notice anything weird? Tails is following Sonic as you'd expect based on the 16-bit version of Sonic 2. However, Sonic rides solo in the 8-bit version, since the story is all about rescuing Tails from Robotnik. But maybe this wasn't always the case. After all, each level introduction features a piece of artwork containing Sonic and Tails. Additionally, a virtually complete sprite set for Tails has been discovered in the game's data. Sure, the sprite was needed for the introduction, but it's a pretty elaborate sprite set for such a tiny role. Perhaps Tails was originally meant to follow Sonic, like in the 16-bit version. Maybe he was even meant to be selectable, like in Triple Trouble. In any case, this clearly never came to pass, and the 8-bit version of Sonic 2 remains a solo adventure. This game is also one of the darkest and most sinister feeling Sonic games ever made. There's an underlying nastiness that pervades the atmosphere of the entire game. From the very first boss, where Robotnik saves Sonic from certain death, only to drop him in front of his own monster. To the game's standard bad ending, where it's implied that Tails has died. There is a darkness to the game that's unusual. This is far from the best entry in the series, but it's also quite interesting to play, and certainly worthy of a couple of hours of your time. Even if it is only to listen to that awesome 8-bit soundtrack.